once it's out there, see how people react to it. I think that's the most important part, how people react to it. If you do not understand how people react to it, then it's very difficult to sustain yourself in this business.
That was Tanzim Uddin. He is one of the co-founders of Togbog, a media company focused on broadcasting positive Bangladeshi stories to the world. What's most impressive about Tanzim is that he has made at least a few hundred videos over the last year and has garnered millions of views for Togbog and has created a community out of it. Now, just saying that by itself sells his skills short, because he also does a lot more in the background, like leading the team and planning sales strategies, content creation, and so on. He's also a student in his final year of computer science and engineering in North-South University. Now, this episode of the podcast is a little bit different. This was less of an interview and more of an in-depth discussion between the two of us about social media, about video marketing, YouTube, career goals, and a lot more. And to be honest, this is how I envisioned the podcast to be when I first started. Less of an interview and more of a conversation. So I personally enjoyed it a lot. This is also the very last interview of Season 1. That's it. Season 1's guests end here. However, I'll have one more episode after this one, a finale, if you may, of my thoughts on the guests, on producing this podcast, and my future goals with this. And then there's one more bonus episode in the end, and that's it. If you've listened to all the episodes so far, actually any of the episodes so far, I have nothing but gratitude. It means so much to me, more than you'll ever know. For those listening to this for the first time, you can check the video as well on my YouTube channel. Just look up Tausifakkas or click the appropriate links in the description. Better yet, visit www.tausifakkas.com to sign up to my newsletter, where I highlight some of the best creative work that I come across online. So now that my usual long-ass intro is out of the way, here is State of the Creators episode 11 with me, Tausifakkas, featuring Tanzim Uddin from Togbog. Hope you enjoy the show. This is State of the Creators, a show about creative individuals who are on a quest to build something out of nothing. They are on TikTok though.
All right.
Thoughts on TikTok?
TikTok, thoughts
and
on
you're
TikTok.
on TikTok.
For me, I'll just straight up admit it's cool. It's a very cool platform.
Okay.
And I think it has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Right now, the creators on there, they're doing the usual stuff. I'd like to see more creativity. But they have to do something original. I think lip sync videos are starting to get like, one thing I noticed is that they keep copying each other. If one thing blows up, they keep doing the same thing. So I wonder, like, what if, you could try to break that kind of trend?
It's not much different from YouTube, is it? Because if you do you had Casey Neistat blowing up, and then you had 500 copycats doing pretty much the same vlog style. All around the world, even in Bangladesh. And then you've got Sam Calder filters,
zoom in transitions,
and that teal and orange color that's literally on every fucking YouTube video today on Bangladesh.
Exactly,
So you do get that. I just guess it's a human psychology to be attracted to stuff that you
I guess
but tell me about, I guess, yourself. So people who are not familiar with who you are and what you do, who is Tanzim Uddin?
So Tanzim Uddin is a bad name. Last name is, I don't like that last name.
It's not a bad name.
It's not a bad name.
Uddin is like such an okay name. Like,
I don't know.
Did you ever get bullied for Uddin?
No, I never got bullied. I don't think I've never got bullied.
So it's not a bad name.
I just think once what happened was, why I kind of hated, I guess, is like once a teacher was calling my name out, like, you do the attendance and roll call. A girl laughed at it. So I was like, damn. That was like a little bit of a,
That's the seed of insecurity in you.
Right, exactly. That got planted and it's still growing, I guess. With
just one girl.
Exactly. And
did you have a crush on her?
I did. Not really. She was really pretty though, but it's not. I didn't really have a big
crush on her.
Yeah, not really. But Yeah, basically that's where it started. I kind of started to loathe the
your throat's drying up as you talk about it. Get some water.
Okay, thank you so much.
Tanzim Uddin.
Yeah,
So what?
Tanzim Uddin.
Yeah, what do you do?
So Tanzim Uddin is basically no one. I'm just right now trying to create videos basically on Togbog, which creates videos on Bangladesh.
Right.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, I think I've also been involved with Togbog a fair bit now.
Absolutely,
over the last few years, pretty much around the first
from the
few
beginning.
months,
From the beginning, you can see it,
and essentially, even though it started on Facebook, it still has a very good presence on Instagram, as we found out through recruitment.
Right.
When you wanted someone within the team, and he said, "Oh, you have a Facebook page?"
that was super,
so essentially, I don't think it's I guess it's a bit too restrictive to say that it's just a Facebook page at this stage, but for sure, yeah. So Togbog, you'd say, is stuff. Well, it's a media platform that creates videos on positive things in Bangladesh.
Absolutely, anything that's great about the Bangladeshi culture, its people, or its like world, whatever, anything about Bangladesh, we try to portray it. We try to show it, basically. Yeah.
And what gave you this, I guess, push to start something like this?
What happened was that I was kind of fed up with Bangladesh because I used to live in Kuwait. Yeah, I was there.
Were you born there?
I was born there.
Oh, nice.
And when I was born, fun fact, it was like the first flood in like 40 years or something in Kuwait. Kuwait is in Middle East, so there's just deserts.
Yeah.
You never expect it to get flooded.
Oh, wow.
It got flooded when I was born. So that's an interesting thing, I guess. But basically I was there for till 8 years. Then I came to Bangladesh. And I always kind of was like, why didn't I stay in Kuwait? It was probably a better place, better future. Of course, Kuwait has a better overall environment. Infrastructure and everything. So I was always like that. And I don't know, after just when I was growing up, I still had that thing. And somewhere around, like, I remember when I was about to hit 20.
Yeah.
That's where I was like, damn, I've been thinking everything a little bit too negative about this. Yeah. I started to look deeper about what's under the surface.
Yeah.
What is happening actually, because sometimes we get lost with all the like Dhaka's, all chaos and everything, and we think that that's it. However, we have to realize why does that chaos even get to happen?
Right. Why does it exist?
Why does it even exist? Because Dhaka existing right now with these many people, this itself is for me a miracle.
Right.
Because I don't think any other city could do it like this. It's just gifted in a way.
Yeah.
So once I started to understand about Dhaka, then I started to understand about Bangladesh.
Yeah.
So, however, I didn't really think of going out there and start creating videos about like all the good things about Bangladesh. What I instead was like, I wanted to do something with my friends. So we thought seeing you like with Plantic, that really influenced us to do something on the internet and create content. So we thought we should make memes or funny things and stuff like that because it was the thing at that time. But then we realized, what if we tried something different? And that's why we came up with a list of ideas of what we could do. And our first video was basically 8 lesser known things about Dhaka.
Right.
And specifically, we chose Dhaka because, again, the stigma about Dhaka is that it's only the traffic jams and this and that, the pollution. We wanted to kind of show off the thing that's deeper within Dhaka. What exactly makes Dhaka today?
Right.
Like beneath all the like traffic jam and all the noise and chaos, what's beneath it? And once that took off, that was the biggest push I had in my life to like, this is it. I should go for it. I just want that feeling again.
That was your creative high, I guess. Like in terms of the reward, at least.
Absolutely. I remember like literally talking to my friends the night we were about to upload. Guys, let's try to go for like 2,000 likes on our page in a month.
Right.
Let's have that kind of aim. And suddenly I wake up the next day, we already have 2,000 likes in a day. And I was like, this is it. This is the feeling I need.
Right.
Absolutely.
And what have you done since?
Okay. Since I've been, I think I've made about 400 videos
Wow.
like on Togbog.
That's fantastic. So 400 within, I guess, a year and a half?
Exactly, to be exact, 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
2.5 years, yeah.
That's still almost 2 videos a week or something like that.
Exactly.
But I think it kind of slowed down over the last few months.
I personally made 400 videos, so there are rest of, exactly.
Right, okay. So for Togbog, it's a lot more.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fantastic. So, and where does the page stand right now?
The page, as in like
in terms of likes and followers.
Right now, currently, I think I last saw it was around 143 likes. I guess.
Right, 143.
143,000.
Yeah, so that's pretty special in the sense that that definitely is created. You've created a market for it in essence, because people didn't really know. I mean, they didn't know that they needed this. In theory, it's almost like other people resonated with the same feelings and emotions that you had, and you just put your stuff out there without even expecting anything, because you were just simply passionate about showcasing it. You just put it out there, and it just people just started resonating with it.
Yeah, I guess we were super lucky, because if you look at our earliest video, I don't know, like it's probably the worst video of Togbog, because I can't see it.
Was it about the coconut?
It was about the dhaka.
Because that's the one I saw. I was like those 4 or 5 best things about coconut.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of the first ones,
Yeah,
but the first one was the dhaka one.
Right.
That was the absolute first one. And then came the coconut water and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were trying everything at that time.
And that's what you got to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Going forward though, with the things that you've learned from Togbog, how has it, I guess, changed your perception about the social media industry, or just media content in general online?
I think I've realized that this is the time to create.
Right.
I don't think there has been a better time to create right now. I think you can create anything and earn money. And I tell this example to everyone. Like, I remember seeing people, like we were talking about ASMR. You can create money from ASMR.
Right.
That's great. You can. I remember watching somebody eating biryani live and earning money from that. That is also up.
Right.
That's also an option.
Yeah.
Which is massive.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody could expect that.
But the thing is should there be videos about people eating biryani?
If you like to see him, why not?
Right.
Like, if you love that genre, I guess why not? If you want to see it, why not? Like, I guess it's all about what you want to watch. At the end of the day, if people want to watch somebody, and it doesn't matter like what kind of, it might not be everyone's favorite, but if you like it, I guess why not watch it? Because they get some sort of high probably from it. And people need these days, because life is tough, I guess, and we need that kind of content, right?
Right. Tell me about your journey in terms of learning the skills. So obviously you're self-taught in terms of video editing. How did it come about? Because it's not an easy skill to acquire without, I guess, proper training and things like that. Right. So yeah, I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, I think you've seen my first video, edited video, which is probably, I don't know what it is, but I made it because I thought, I was actually.
Was it the one with the? Are you talking about the football?
I'm talking about the football one. Yeah,
fantastic.
That's the one I'm talking about. It literally,
it's beautiful,
and
it's
I think
fantastic.
I made it on a I don't know if you know this software, then Wondershare, something like that. It's like a demo version,
and it's almost like the KineMaster or something. It's got that little watermark on the corner.
I somehow removed the watermark. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's skillful.
Exactly.
That takes skill.
Exactly.
With the Z.
Yeah, and that's why that's where I started to work on stuff. I was making what do you call those, like photo slideshows and everything. I was trying to create something. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think it started from that video, maybe. I don't know, like creating something. And then I started to realize that I want to make something that makes sense and starts to cater to a bigger audience or stuff like that.
Right.
And then I was like, okay, I should start getting better. So I started watching tutorials on YouTube because I can't read books. I'm really bad at reading. I think I'm still finishing Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets.
Why did you even start?
Yeah, exactly.
If you can't finish Harry Potter
Right.
series,
Yeah.
like, you shouldn't really be.
I guess the problem is I watch the movies more than the
Right.
That's why it kind of disrupts the feeling. But yeah, I think I've probably finished 3 books in my life properly,
Okay.
like cover to cover.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's why that's how I started watching videos on YouTube, and slowly I started to get involved with Togbog.
Mhm.
That's when Tausif Bhai came in, and
Right.
Tausif Bhai helped me so much. It's
This is not
so
sponsored,
crazy.
by the way.
It's sponsored by the way. No, it's absurd. The
Right.
amount of things I've learned from you. It's absurd. And if I hadn't have learned those skills, I don't know where I would have been right now. So it's insane. And
I
thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much for.
No.
I want to ask you
Sure.
one thing. Why did you even be interested in working with Togbog in the first place? Yeah.
So I think for me, I have this issue of wanting to do things. If this podcast is like a perfect example, I was wanted to do it. I had some opportunity. I bought some gear, and I'm like, I just want to do it.
Right.
When I got involved with Togbog, I saw its potential pretty much straight off the bat. And I don't think I've seen the Dhaka video first. I think I saw the video about the coconuts first. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, this isn't, half bad. This is informational. This is in English. This is from Bangladesh. It definitely has a market. And that's when I kind of reached, and then I found out, I think the best part was found out it was you guys, basically. So for people who don't know, we kind of went to the same school. Tanzim's, I don't know how much younger, maybe a few years
I think,
down.
when
Yeah,
you were
4 or 5.
graduating, we were probably in grade
year
4.
five, grade 4, grade 5,
4,
yeah. So knowing that you guys are from the same school, I was like, I gotta kind of reach out to you guys and see how I can help out. So for me, it was just, I knew that it had a potential pretty much straight off the bat. And the fact that you guys kind of spent time behind something that's not, I guess, usually people would go after a trend. It wasn't the most trendiest thing in Bangladesh, at least. Obviously, there were stuff similar to it overseas. But the fact that you did it in Bangladesh, I was like, it definitely had a potential to pick up. So that's what attracted me the most about Togbog.
Right, and that's why we've been able to grow. Honestly, I don't think we would have been able to grow if we hadn't upped our video game. Honestly,
Right.
And that's why, because of you, I guess.
No. It's definitely, I guess, for my involvement had some part to play, just purely in the form of experience, but the talent and the time and the commitment and the skills, that's something I cannot give. So don't undersell yourself in this situation where you had to put the time, you had to edit the 400 videos, you had to at least listen to the instructions or understand the market and push it out there and select the topic. So essentially I'm just there kind of, holding the light, in the dark at the least.
Which is great, yeah, absolutely.
But the real work is essentially done
Right.
by the team. So I think not just you, the entire team from the start had a great push towards creating this brand called Togbog.
That's why I like to push the idea of working with or for someone who's more experienced than you.
Right.
I think that helps so much. Like
Right.
for me, this has helped me so much.
I think
Right.
not just in terms of working together as well, but at the same time, with you consuming content from people who you look up to.
Right.
Did I introduce you to Garyvee, or did you just know Garyvee?
I watched his video. I remember
Right.
I didn't like the dude first
Wow.
when I first watched it, because I didn't know his context though.
What?
do
Do you remember which video it was?
I think that a girl who called him, like, which went super viral.
That was your first video?
Yeah, that was my,
What?
and it was like on Lad Bible or like 9gag.
Oh,
or
I
something.
didn't know that.
Yeah, and like they just
was it that
posted-
girl who calls him and he
Taylor,
gives
I
this-
think.
yes,
her
and
name,
gave this big speech about 20-year-old something. She
Exact-
looks up to Kylie Jenner.
Kylie Jenner, exactly,
right.
right.
Yeah, I
and
remember
I
that
was
one.
like, this dude, like, he's sitting in
Like,
front.
who the
in
fuck is he?
Exactly, he's sitting in an office with like behind him there are these like action figures or like Macho Man Randy Savage and everything. I was like, who the
fuck is?
Yeah, he's just a motivator. Like
Right.
I can't take advice from this guy.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then I started to realize when you sent his name
Wow,
again, I was
yeah.
like, this dude. Okay, let me see.
Okay.
Then I started to see his like daily views and understand
Yeah.
that he's actually a very hardworking guy and he's just putting out content like a lot.
right?
Yeah.
And I think I remember my first time. It's interesting because I actually found him on Medium. So it was this that fucker. He was on the trending page on Medium when I found him, because this was when Medium first came out. Like, it was starting to get popular.
It's crazy.
And it would have like these little, top trending articles or stories from whomever. And the topic that I chose was basically entrepreneurship.
Right.
And essentially looking at that, just selecting entrepreneurship or selecting all these other ones, and under entrepreneurship there he was, right? But I didn't remember.
What was the article about?
It was about
how to make money.
None
jab,
of that.
jab,
none
jab.
of that.
Yeah, okay.
I think it was about the future of entrepreneurship.
Right.
Like, what can you expect in the digital landscape? It was a super serious article.
And you
which is very
connected with
unlike
it straight up.
No, this is the thing.
Oh,
so
okay.
I was like, oh, it's a cool article. I kind of bookmarked it on my thing, as I do with my Chrome. Bookmark like 200 things, and then not read them.
Right.
And then I usually kind of read them while I have some downtime.
Okay.
And then I looked up, something else kind of came about. Like, okay, started looking at Garyvee through other things, and started following his vlogs. Started looking at D-Rock, and just the entire mentality kind of shifted, because I was already picking up these. It's kind of like this bubble that you kind of get into of this self-help stuff, of progression, of growth, of personal development. Because I remember I picked up the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. That was one of the first books that I picked up in that space. That kind of led me to watching his videos, watching videos about that stuff, and then eventually that somehow led me to Garyvee. And then I remember after like a few months, I think I've seen his name somewhere or something like that. Didn't hit me, and then he might have reshared his article again somewhere. I clicked on it and I see there's a star mark already on my Chrome, and I was like, oh, this is this guy. And then that kind of made it a full circle for me, in the sense that he practices what he preaches. Like, he talks about pushing stuff out all the time, new socials, new everything, and he still does that. That's when I knew that this guy is just not a motivational speaker. And
I think the biggest thing why people follow him, for me, in my opinion, is that he kind of validates people's thinking. If he's the one of the guys who says that you can do whatever you want in your way. Like, usually all the motivators
no judgment.
Exactly.
Basically, no judgment. And I think that's what I mean when I say that it's important to consume content of people that you look up to, that you want to become, even if you don't have a mentor per se, or someone who you can work with. Because I don't remember having someone, I guess we work quite closely, but I don't kind of work closely with someone, and I wish I did.
Exactly.
But the way I kind of built was through, doing stuff like that. So with Bangladesh being such a, I guess, negative space in terms of the news that you see online, and a lot of the stuff that comes up, we don't have a lot of ways to monetize online content and things like that. At least traditionally we didn't. Now it's getting better. Why'd you decide to do something that's purely along those lines? Because obviously you were in university student, you still are doing a degree that's completely not relevant to what you want to do. And then having the time to do this, and then kind of helping out with other ventures and things like that. Why, first of all, like getting involved in all these things that really doesn't have a direct monetary benefit, at least for a few years. And what was the push behind this? So not just Togbog, like anything that you do, even like doing this podcast, for example.
I think when I was about to finish my A-levels, I think there was a slump period where I was very confused where I was going with my life, because that's the time you have to kind of decide where you're going with your life. And I remember at that time I was just doing I was playing video games, and I was playing football. That's it. Those are the only certain things I knew that I will keep doing.
What video games?
I think my all-time favorite,
Well, what were you playing then?
I was probably playing Skyrim, my all-time favorite.
Really?
Yeah, the Elder
Oh,
Scrolls.
wow.
I love that game so much.
Right.
Yeah, basically.
I just know it for the meme.
Okay, but
Arrow to the knee.
I
that's
would
it.
suggest everybody to play that game because it's just a beautiful game.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
So you didn't
Yeah.
know where we're going, and
Yeah, I was very confused what I was going to do. I think one of my biggest help was at that time my elder brother.
Mhm.
He kind of pushed the idea that try to build something, try to create a legacy.
Nice.
Because I wasn't very motivated at that
Yeah.
time. I was ready to have a very simple life
Right.
and do the normal stuff and everything, which is also good.
Yeah.
But he kind of got me hooked onto a certain thinking, which is creating a legacy.
Right.
I don't know, somewhere the way he said it probably hit me in
Right.
a way. And I thought about it and I thought that I want a legacy.
Okay.
I straight up want to create something that people will still remember
Right.
even if I'm dead.
Yeah.
I don't know why it just works like that, I guess.
I
Yeah.
think that's a fantastic,
Yeah.
motivational tool, and it's the same for me as well.
Yeah.
It's like you. For me, the biggest highs of highs when your work is appreciated by, I guess, complete strangers. That's
Right.
fantastic feeling.
Absolutely. Right.
Even just simplest of comments can make your day or break a day.
Exactly.
But
Right.
it's then leaving something behind
Mhm.
that would then go on to impact others is probably the epitome of human success.
Absolutely.
We still, obviously you can't be an Isaac Newton, you can't be an Einstein, you
Right.
can't be Da Vinci, but you could be someone. And even I think we're going philosophical here, but
Right.
it's like even if you can't do stuff to impact 500 people, maybe
Right.
aim at 100.
Exactly.
If you can do 100, aim at 50. If you can do
Exactly.
50, try impacting your children, your partner, your
Yeah.
immediate family members. And I
Right.
think that's what our parents have done in
Exactly,
essence.
yeah.
They may not have had the exposure, even if they did, they chose to live this life,
Right.
where they have dedicated their lives into building us. And that in itself is a noble cause, where
Absolutely.
you're
Yep.
imparting knowledge, you're imparting your experience,
Right.
and building something. In this case, it was us.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I think that's a very good way to look at
Yeah.
the way you do things.
Exactly, and that's the biggest motivation for me right now is to create something that could hopefully stay a part of my legacy, and
Yeah.
people will look back to like he created these things.
Right.
I don't know why,
Yeah.
and that's how I feel. Like,
And
yeah.
it's interesting because you are a very humble person, and it doesn't come out in the stuff that you say. So it's like in the sense that I guess for someone who wants themselves to be remembered for the stuff, you
Right.
don't brag about the stuff that you do. So I think it's a very interesting kind of juxtaposition of characteristics that you carry around.
Yeah, I think it could. I'm probably the worst when it comes to
You're
promoting
the worst
myself.
salesperson.
Yeah, selling myself. When it comes to selling myself, I'm probably the worst because I still don't know myself. I think
Yeah.
I think I'm still weird. I think I have to figure out myself a lot.
But I
That's
guess
why, yeah.
that kind of plays down to your character. But would you say when you first started these things, like say Togbog, for example,
Right.
and then where you're at right now, would you say you can sell yourself better now than you could before?
100%.
Right. Even though you can't see yourself
if-
the best out there, but
Yeah.
you still, so you think you can learn this skill.
So yeah, I'm going to differentiate
Right.
between selling and the bragging thing.
Right.
So basically, I can definitely.
That's a good point,
Basically, I'm not very good at when it comes to talking about myself. That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
When it comes to selling, of course, I have lots of ideas. I already have ideas on how if I had to create something on my brand name and
Yeah.
something like that, which I dream about if
Yeah.
I can someday.
You already have one from Ecstasy.
Oh no. Please don't do that to me. Oh god.
What if it was called Tanzim Uddin?
If it was called, then I should have a share. I think every Tanzim should have 5% off Tanzim. Yeah, I think that should be fair, right? Come on.
I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you were saying.
I was saying basically that I could. I don't have a. I love. I think the marketing aspect. I don't know if selling is what I should say.
Yeah.
Because selling is a totally different ball game.
Mm.
I love the part of coming up with ideas to to present a product and stuff like that.
Right.
But when it comes to talking about myself, I don't think I'm the best at it. I don't know why. I'd rather listen to other people than talk about myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess for you to have these characteristics and then still be doing these things, I think we're talking about the learning curve, right? So from part A, where you were still a student and you couldn't sell yourself or sell the stuff that you do as much, to what you're doing now. How important do you think it is today to be able to showcase your work, especially creative work, because of your experience of the last few years? What have you learned?
I think it's the most important. You can create a lot of good things, but if you don't know how to showcase them, it's a problem. I think you have to showcase them the best way as possible, because if you can show it in a very different way than others, that's it. You can stand out between within millions of people, because everybody tries to do the same thing, and that's why if you can try something else, something out of the box, in the way you showcase your things. I'm talking about if you're putting out designs or artworks or whatever, I would suggest try not to only create a profile and just create it on there. Why not even do collaborate with other people and stuff like that, and just overall try to figure out ways and guerrilla tactics that everybody loves are key. So I think that's very important, that how you showcase yourself in this day and age, because in this day and age you have to be I feel like you have to be very confident about what you do, because that confidence is people feed off from that confidence. If you can confidently showcase your work, the people who are watching it, they'll be like, I want you in my team, because I love that confidence and I need that for my project. So that's why.
And I guess persistence also pays off, making sure being consistent with.
Absolutely. When it comes to social media, you have to be consistent and you have to be persistent as well, because it's not easy.
Because sometimes it doesn't click. Sometimes you can post something.
So here's the part, I say to everyone, we got super lucky when it came to one day, we had 2,000 likes. But here's the thing, the next 2 months, there wasn't that much movement in Togbog. No. There wasn't. We literally used to get 10 or 20 likes on a video. And we used to create, and at that time, it took me around 4 to 5 hours to complete a video. And that's when it comes, do you want this enough to keep trying and trying? And that's when you have to kind of decide, this is it. If I want to do this, I have to put in the time, and I have to have the patience to reach that ultimate idea that will take off again. And it'll keep for us, what happens is that we keep creating, and we've kept creating for 2 years consistently. Right now I'm taking a bit slow, because right now we're trying to expand on other things. That's why we're going to focus on YouTube and other stuff, but definitely consistency is very helpful when it comes to social media. You have to,
and also making sure that you post at the right time, you're reaching out to the right people, and because you've got a scheduled posting time as well.
Exactly. We've experimented it starting when we started it off. We experimented a lot when it came to timings. We started back when we started, we used to post around 10 a.m. Then we realized that later at night helps more. So we started to, then now we're in 9 p.m. So that's how we roll.
So also studying and making sure to know which way to kind of
exactly. And one of the things I love is not only watching my audience but other people's audience as well. I think that's one of the biggest indicators of what is working and what is not working, and where content is heading, because there is a lot. I think there's gold in the comments. You just have to find the right ones. If you find the right comments, it might click and it could give you a really cool idea about something. And that's how I think community engagement and observing not only your community but other people's community. And I'm a big fan of watching other people's community and my community for sure. But all the communities.
It's very, very important to do that as well, because as you know, I like looking at content.
Oh my god, so I've received some of the most weirdest videos late at night, and those are basically videos of Like, what was the video?
I don't even know. It's
I think, right. I think I saw once, like, there was this guy who was, I think somebody got an award for TikTok, and then you sent that to me. I was,
that was
somewhere in where?
But
yeah, like, I think it was outside of Dhaka, probably, right? I think so. I don't know. But that's just, that's not even weird, honestly.
That's not that weird, because
exactly.
I think that got, like, started becoming viral and
Exactly.
stuff.
I think if I showed it to people, they would realize.
I think they would judge.
Yeah, they would judge. For sure. Yeah.
But I guess that comes from the point of your comment as well, where you need to learn and observe and understand the different communities that exist online. And
Absolutely.
I think with us being probably one of the most exciting times that we have right now, where anybody create content, which is great, but the worst part is anybody can create content,
right?
And which also means that there's saturation, there's more of poor quality content, there's content that you don't need,
right?
It just becomes very, very difficult to clutter. It's a clutter, it's
Exactly.
a big mess of just content just happening.
Exactly.
But what it also does, which has interesting implications, is it creates content bubbles.
Right.
Which means if you have 1 million subs on YouTube, you're probably not that big anymore.
Exactly.
It's
right.
I remember Philip
It's
DeFranco
weird.
talking about like he covers online news and stuff. He's one of my favorite YouTubers, one of the OG YouTubers, and he does stuff in a very unbiased way in which he covers news and online elements as well.
Exactly.
He was talking about this topic which had this YouTuber involved who had around 2 million views.
Right.
And while he was explaining it, he's like, I haven't heard of this YouTuber. And then he goes on to say how he hasn't really, seen a lot of these
New creators
because
exactly.
you exist in this bubble.
Absolutely.
And essentially we think that you have to be the best of the best, because the people with 2 million or 1 million subs, or even 100,000 subs on YouTube or anywhere else, they already have a good audience, an engaged audience. They probably even make a full-time living out of it.
Exactly.
And they're still doing it. So I think one thing, first of all, that we need to remember is you don't need to have a super massive audience, as long as you have a good engaged audience. And also the fact,
sorry to cut
you
off. I think this is where Plantic has done a great job when it comes to engaging with their audience.
Right.
I think the amount of stuff you've done with your community, it's insane. Like over the years, like with the 2014 football campaign, this is so much with Plantic. And that's my question. Like, does it get exhausting at one point to keep engaging with the community? Does it get repetitive? Or do you still have that same high?
It's interesting. Well, if you asked me this question maybe a month ago, I probably wouldn't have said the high doesn't really go much beyond what it does.
Right.
But over the recent video that kind of went viral on Reddit,
kind of.
I mean, it was well received. Eventually, after like 4 times posting it on Reddit, but it was also me understanding, and observing how Reddit works, and then posting it for the 4th time, and then basically getting those upvotes of 13,000 people. It was a different high.
It's a different.
There's some random comments of people saying I was in the bed for with flu. This cheered me up, and I'm thinking, like that's just weird. Like, first you think, how sad you must you be for you to cheer this up, and then you go like, no, this is like I feel the same sometimes.
Exactly.
When I see something cool or something nice, or I listen to something inspiring, it does help you. That for me became the biggest high recently, and that's what you kind of keep chasing. Like, cool, that's done. For Plantic, it's always been thinking about the next step. It's we've made a video about Netflix and Champions League. Next, we want to be on Netflix. And then next, we want to maybe create a Netflix. Like, it's basically just maybe like a platform that just streams football shows and football movies and stuff.
Why not? Exactly. One of the things I'll say, before you even uploaded the video, I remember you showed you sent a video
snippets and stuff
like to me, and I remember seeing it and I was like, damn, why didn't I make this straight up came into my head, and I was like, damn, I should have made something like this. And I was like, this is too good. This is going to be viral. Like, I knew it. Yeah.
That I get that feeling all the time,
Yeah.
especially when I listen to John Mayer songs, and especially
Right.
because they speak to me so much.
Mhm.
I feel that, oh man, that's the lyric I feel I should have written that
Exactly.
if I played music as well, as well as he does. So it's for me the highs kind of it does get exhausting
Mhm.
around the fourth or the fifth year.
Right.
I was this close to quitting like Plantic, like retiring it altogether.
Right.
Because obviously we started off with 4 founders, and we started having a team, that slowly started growing,
Yeah.
and then eventually it's repetitive
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And the first few years you don't make a dime, you
Right.
spend money. Like 2014 campaign, we were students and we had to put money off our pockets just to do this event
Exactly. And
on
it
the
was
World
so
Cup. And when you don't see the returns that you expect, it does get exhausting.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you play your cards right, if you start becoming a bit more smart,
Right.
this season we have a few brand deals that kind of went through.
Awesome.
So things like that kind of start falling into place, and
Exactly.
we kind of claim ourselves as a media company, even though we don't have like a media production house or anything like that. Essentially, me and a few others, with you as well, being part of the video teams, helping out with interviews and things like that.
Right.
It all comes from a place of wanting to do things.
Right.
And when you work with people who are just as passionate about the thing, because we are
Absolutely.
not essentially a production house,
Right.
but they're still doing their stuff.
Exactly.
That's when you get the encouragement to continue. That these people want to be a part of it. When we posted the recruitment for Plantic a
Right.
few months back, we had hundreds and hundreds of applications, and you go like, oh wow, people legit want to be a part of this movement,
Exactly.
wanting to do stuff. So that kind of gives you a bit, but it does get exhausting. I'll tell you that.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
in terms of repetitive. With football, we're a bit lucky
Right.
because it's it's an ever-changing kind of platform.
Absolutely.
And especially now the drama is at an all-time high. But that's, I guess, what keeps it a little bit different. But yeah, it's kind of picking the moments, and yeah.
And here's the weird part. Like right now, Plantic has 30 members working at Plantic.
Right.
That's insane. Like starting from 4 to now 30.
Yeah, it's insane, but it's also insane.
Yeah, it's
in the
insane.
sense that's
up.
also exhausting as well, because it's difficult to run in I think it's 29 actually, not
Yeah.
30.
Oh.
To 29 people, it's living in 14 different countries, 14 different cities actually,
Oh, yeah.
and trying to making sure that everything's kind of running around the clockwork.
So awesome, yeah.
That also gets exhausting. So we're trying to move away from creating stuff to managing stuff a lot more.
Yeah.
But we're super lucky to have these people wanting to be a part of this. So
Yeah, exactly.
I think for you as well, when you wanted to recruit people as well, you saw like a big jump in people wanting to be a part of the movement, and I'm sure
We
that
straight up founded it with 7 people, so
Right.
there's not much like
Which
in
is
the-
weird.
which is super weird.
Yeah.
Everybody judges us
Yeah.
for that,
Yeah.
but I'm like, this is what actually
I
happened.
want to talk
It
to you about
literally-
that as well,
Yeah.
because all of you are friends.
Yep.
When you were friends, I mean, you were super close
We're
friends.
still friends.
You're still-
yeah.
That's good.
Exactly.
That kind of answers my question. But
Right.
but how much of an impact does it have on friendship, working with friends along these things?
So I remember when we had our first meeting, it was at Naeem's place. Yeah, exactly. We had it at his house, and
Yeah.
we were all sitting in his room. And before even starting, or like in the meeting, I remember like saying one thing, because I had to get this out, because I
Right.
always had this feeling, which is I said, my friends, guys, right now everything we're going to talk about is all business. And when it comes to Togbog, it's always going to be business.
Right.
Our friendship will always be there.
Right.
It's always going to be there. And like this is only business for us. And when it comes to Togbog, we'll only talk about the business aspect of
Right.
it. It will never affect our friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And gladly it hasn't so far.
Right.
But there has been, of
So
course.
I think the trick was there to put that kind of at the very first thing.
Yeah, it was
Like
the very first thing.
like lay it all out that this is completely business and
Yeah.
nothing personal.
Exactly. We had to do that because we've heard always that friendship, working with friends never lasts
Right.
and never works, and it maybe doesn't for some people, but for me it really helped to grow this to grow Togbog, because without their help I don't think I would have been able to grow it, honestly. And that's why I had to put it out there that, guys, this is only work. This isn't anything. I will never pass anything. And when it comes to work, I always treat them as a co-worker. It's not like they're my friend and hey yo, what's up? I always try to be, because it's business when it comes to talk.
You're like, hey, Talsuk Bhai, how are you doing today? Question mark. Hope you're well. Exclamation mark.
Thanks.
Regards.
Tanzim Uddin. Exactly. And that's how I treat my friends as well, because I don't want them to feel at any point this is like I'm trying to treat them as, I don't want to take them for granted. No, like usually people don't help out people for this long, or without any like commitment. I'm not paying anybody or anything. We're not earning like huge amounts of money or anything. So that's why I feel like I have to give that respect. When it comes to like, if you're working, I will give you that respect, of course.
I want to talk about content bubbles as well a bit more. With Togbog, you did not really have an audience in mind per se, but you got an audience that you didn't expect that you would get, which is essentially people, Bangladeshis living abroad who don't primarily speak Bangla. I find that fascinating, and once I realized that, I was like, this is the audience we have to target more and more, because no one's catering to this audience.
Exactly.
What are your thoughts on this, content bubble where you sometimes have these bubbles of communities and contents that don't overlap, but somehow through your work you kind of touched on the other side of the bubble without even knowing?
I think when I create anything, I try to think as less as possible about the audience, because that makes me nervous, super nervous, and I don't want to get nervous. So what I instead think about is what I would love to see as a person, as a guy, 22-year-old guy in Bangladesh. What would I want to see from my creators? And that's what I want to achieve. Basically, I want to make stuff that I want to see, basically. And I think that was a very big surprise to us, because we never really expected it. Because of them, like sometimes even foreign people who aren't Bangladeshis necessarily, they are interested in knowing about Bangladesh.
They get exposed to.
Exactly. They also get exposed to and get to know about our country and stuff. So we never really kind of aimed for it. It just happened, which is super great. And I think that's the thing that helps us sometimes, because if we keep having those expectations that we want this audience, sometimes you might get down, because it's very difficult to understand what kind of audience your content or what kind of content will attract the right audience. That's why I think focus on the content you want to watch. I think the content you watch, you will attract that kind of an audience. I think
it's I think it works if your target audience is someone like you. I mean, and by you I don't mean you, Tanzim, but whoever's the creator. So if the creator is a 45-year-old female from Philippines, and she wants to create content that 45-year-old women from
because you have to relate to it.
Correct.
In some
like
way,
if the 45-year-old female from Philippines wants to watch stuff like that, then she will be creating the content that she needs to.
Exactly.
But if she wants to aim it at Slovakian 40-year-old men who has 1 ear missing, she has to cater and build
a whole different
genres. So I think it is quite important to also kind of keep in mind what your target audience is, and essentially with, for example, the classic example is the planting a Netflix thing that I did. Essentially because I figured a lot of our target group would be watching Netflix, and therefore creating something that's around that pop culture referencing stuff. It should, in theory, work if it's made well.
And I think that's a super thing that I don't know if people understand their audience that well. Sometimes you just don't know your audience.
And you
fact that you could bet that they're probably going to relate with it.
It's probably the best example in this case, but there were plenty of times when I thought that my audience would resonate with something, and they don't. And there are plenty of times I thought they wouldn't, and they're like, "Oh, this is the best content ever."
Exactly.
This is also a theory that I kind of learned from John Mayer, not a theory, but from John Mayer himself, where he spoke about this in a Berklee College of Music seminar. It was almost like an 8-part or 10-part talk, which I recommend to anyone who's in the creative industry, because he talks a lot about making it, talking about building stuff, creating stuff, and then talks specifically about music. And he was talking about a song that he had written. He knew for a fact that it was going to win the Grammys. It was, it's going to change people's mindset about romance with this one song. And then he had this other song, which going to be number 8 in the album, number 9. It's just there, kind of as a filler. And it ended up being that the filler song, which was called The Daughters, but all daughters, ended up winning a Grammy, and then the other song nobody really remembers as much, even though he put it. So sometimes you have to create for the audience as well, keeping Makes them sense. In mind. And sometimes even if you do, it may not work, it might work, but if you keep your audience in, that's just an odd example, but a lot of the songs he probably aimed to be public and popular ended up being popular as well. So you also have to keep that in mind when you create something.
It's weird, interesting.
Like for content as well, like some of the content that you might have created, I'm sure you wanted to aim it at some people, and then
of course
you knew for a fact, this is the best fucking content ever. Even with the one with the Netflix one that I created, I was like, it's gonna change. I knew it was good. Like I'm not gonna be humble in this case. I knew it was good, and I put in like 50-60 hours of work. But when I put it out, it didn't get the views that I thought it would. It was like 2,000
probably in Reddit,
stuff.
But in Bangladesh, I think.
No, even in Bangladesh, on Facebook it did only because it had to boost to the people who already followed the page.
Exactly.
And that's another thing as well. If you want to boost on Facebook, try to boost it to people who already follow your page, and not
a big one.
Friends of people. That just messes up the whole algorithm. In our experience. So it's that kind of showed it to some people. But even then, it wasn't like a viral thing until, and even in Bangladesh, I don't think it's viral. Like I'm sure many people don't even know about it, which makes sense. We live in a content bubble.
But pretty much the community we're in. Like,
correct. I mean, it ended up being on Sport Bible, but for me, making it on Reddit was more important than anywhere else, because
someone made what was the title?
I forgot. Someone made a Champions League, something like that. It makes sense. I am someone. But sports, Sport Bibles has its own crowd, has its own thing. And it's not that hard to break into Sport Bible as it is to be on Reddit. Because,
absolutely. Reddit is way tougher.
But then again, Reddit still, it's such a difficult place to sustain.
Exactly. I think you sent one of the comments
and that was the first comment.
What was the...
It was like, I wasted 3 minutes of my life. And that was the first comment. And that felt like... It didn't feel like shit, because I kind of have built a thick skin towards these comments. But if I had based and deleted that post, it's like, holy shit, this is going bad.
Exactly.
It would have been a huge... Correct. So sometimes you have to kind of see how it plays out. Even if you get shit comments, even if you get, bad... press.
Exactly.
Obviously, if everybody keeps doing it, then maybe there's something wrong. If I had like 13,000 people saying it's shit, then it's probably
should be probably something wrong.
So there's also you having that self-awareness about your audience and about your target market. That's important as well.
Right.
With I guess I want to know more about content bubble as well. Like, what are your thoughts on how this world is going in terms of creating content? Because it's very saturated right now, and for any creator wanting to build stuff, and we've talked about some ventures together about music and a few other media outlets as well.
We have to do those.
But we have to do it.
Now it's on the podcast. Now we have to
do it. It's on the podcast. Should we say the name? We can say the name.
Should we do it?
We'll just say the name. It's called Sonic Brew. You probably know about it. It's already out there. And if it's not, then I can always edit this out. And nobody knows.
Exactly.
But it's when we spoke about doing something like that, we always talked about how can we be different. It's so saturated. And the best part is picking up the handles. Instagram
damn,
handle.
That's a massive task.
Hey, what are your thoughts on that? Like, how did you your experience with that?
Like with you?
No, with picking out like names, or just seeing that 500,000 other people have already done something similar or picked up the name.
Exactly right. I think that I've had this experience mostly with you because I remember when we were coming up with names, I think every name we could think of, the first 10 names probably were already on Instagram. Yeah. And then we kind of settled into the final one, which was Sonic Brew. Yeah. And that made... So here's the thing: a lot of them aren't even active, which means that they're basically here for the money grab,
right?
And that's why I think here I feel like what we should do is be creative with the name.
Right.
If you want a certain name,
because you have to be unique. Like when I want to look a name for this podcast, pretty much every single name had a podcast.
Exactly.
Just go up on iTunes or like I guess podcasts on Apple, and just look up any name and just add podcast to it. It exists. I'm not even kidding.
Right.
But also on that, like you gotta make sure that you have a name that either creates a resonance with your target audience, or it's easily searchable on Google or on SEOs or wherever.
Exactly. You also have to be smart about it. Right?
Correct. Like the name Togbog, for example. Tell me about that.
I think Togbog was it's the best name we could think of, and it really doesn't have any meaning with Bangladesh. Really, we didn't put a backstory to it.
But it's a Bangla word.
It's a Bangla word. It's definitely a Bangla word. It's a term that's used for like boiling water or when horses run. The sound.
Which one is it?
Here's the thing: we don't know.
Really?
Yeah, exactly. We never really thought.
I thought it was all the horses.
It was never about the meaning. Actually, it was always about the sound it created. It was just a really cool.
I thought it was always like you knew it was going to be.
And that's the thing.
Horse. Did you always think it was a horse?
For me, it's the horse.
Because Naeem came up with the name, didn't he?
Exactly. So here, the story is that basically we were all in a group chat and we had to decide on a name, and there was Naeem with the name, and he was like Togbog, and everybody liked it.
So do you go back to him since and then said, what does it mean? Because whatever he says means that's the name.
50% of what Naeem says doesn't mean anything, but for him, I think Togbog meant like I think for him it meant something about like energy or like how boiling water.
So it's the boiling water.
Yeah, exactly. But we haven't stuck with one meaning.
Right.
We just put it out
so
there.
So it's a collective decision.
Exactly. Right. It's like people want to decide what the meaning is. They can have them.
But the point being is that the name Togbog is basically. A Bangla word, and when a Bangladeshi person hears that out, they're like, "Oh, this is a Bangla word," and they can connect to it. Same with plantic.
Right.
But when you want to be able to create something new, you gotta keep in mind that resonates, that's unique, and it's sometimes can be hard to find that perfect kind of Venn diagrams, center.
Yeah.
So
I think finding the right name is super underrated.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think people need to talk about this. There should be a podcast
about how to find names for your creative entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
It's
hosted by TBA.
Even TBAs, there's other TBAs.
Yeah, exactly.
There's like a TBA fashion outlet or something. Have you seen that?
In Bangladesh?
Yeah. Wow. This guy, he's like Tahmid bin something. TBA clothing. A friend of mine sent it to me. He's like, is this yours? I'm like, no, I had one and I quit because I'm not good enough. But
exactly.
It's like you never know. Like
the name thing in Bangladesh.
For all we know, like Plantic and Togbog and all these names could already exist.
They could. I don't think Plantic exists at all. Togbog definitely exists. There's too many things with Togbog. Hopefully, we want to kind of make it fully about our page it's
just being in that content bubble, isn't it?
Exactly,
because we think, we're reaching 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 people with our posts, and the engagement's massive.
That means I'm the biggest.
That's fine. Yep.
Okay, right. That means like I'm the biggest probably in
correct
this,
in the space,
and it gives you a wrong idea.
And then you kind of, and that's why observing other communities and platforms actually helps in not only creating that empathy but also building an understanding of
Right.
the market that you have.
Right. And one of my biggest questions right now I'd like to
Yeah.
ask you is do you think, what kind of, basically, do you think Bangladeshi content right now, what we have,
Yeah.
do you think it is something that could definitely, like, I'm talking about the best of the best in Bangladesh,
Right,
the
right.
best content. Is it comparable with the international level? Do you think we have a chance with...
So
Yeah.
by content, you mean just social media content, not movies and other things?
I
Or
think even music. I'm talking
music,
about
movies and everything?
Exactly. I think
So music
Yeah.
definitely is up there now,
That's good.
today.
Yeah.
I feel music, even before, like, you know, the stuff that Artsel and Cryptic Fig
I
used to
agree.
make,
I agree.
the quality of production, the quality in terms of local context
Yeah.
and everything,
Right.
it was always up there.
Right.
Technicality as well. Like, I don't think our musicians are any worse off than any other best musicians out
Right.
there. In terms of movies, honestly, it's a mixed bowl.
Mhm.
I think the best filmmaker we had, the last best filmmaker we had was Shotulit, like
Oh, damn. Yeah.
straight up.
Yeah.
In
He
Bangla
set the
films.
standard way too high. I
Even
guess.
now,
Yeah.
when you look back, it's
Mhm.
it's
So
eccentric.
visually, yeah,
it's
exactly.
beautiful, right?
Beautiful.
People study it even today.
Today.
And I haven't seen any great works in terms of, I'm talking about feature length movies, not
Mhm.
like short films or anything like that. The short films,
Right.
there's been few good
Yeah.
filmmakers over the last few years.
Exactly. And I always think about one thing. As we exist in this era,
Yeah.
do we ever realize when history is being made?
That
don't-
is so true because, and I was speaking to someone on a
Yeah.
YouTube comment or on Farooq Bhai's latest
Yeah.
video called Golapi.
Right.
And I was
Superb.
having this super debate with this person, and I
Yeah.
assume it's a she because it was a female name.
Yep.
She mentioned something like, "How is this quality music?" And I said,
Yeah.
"Look, I can objectively say that it's got some quality in it,
Yeah.
but to be able to say that if it's quality that'll stick," because she mentioned something like, people will forget about it after 2 years
Right.
or after 2 months.
Right.
And I said, maybe we have to come back after 10 years to
Right.
be able to see its impact, because sometimes, like right now, I look back when Artsel released its album,
Exactly.
the first album, and some of the songs, they set the
bar.
the
absolutely.
level for
And
for
did people
metal.
know it at that time? Like
I think at the time you had
yeah.
an inclination, but
Right.
in the mainstream there'd be shat on.
Exactly.
Like they'd be like, oh, it's just
It's music.
it's
Yeah.
stupid music or whatever. It's
But
not
when you look back, it seems like so
correct.
big.
So it's so true because
Yeah.
we always have this fascination with older times, right?
Exactly.
Everything's best before.
Right,
We can
right.
never make movies like the past. We can never make music like the past.
Right.
But if you're so
Hold up.
if you're so obsessed with the past, you won't notice the present fleeting away from you,
Exactly. Yeah.
because you're not. Most people who say this, that's stuff of they don't even look beyond what they're used
Right,
to
right.
in terms of consuming content.
Absolutely.
They don't listen to new music. They don't listen to they don't watch new movies. They don't watch the new social media stuff that's
Right.
happening out there.
And that's wrong. Yeah.
In Bangladesh, though, the YouTube community,
Still a long way to go, I guess.
it's I feel, and it's a problem that's beyond YouTube community. It's any entertainment
Mhm.
in Bangladesh. It's one of the two things.
Right.
You either have to make people laugh,
Mhm.
or you either have to make people sad.
Yeah.
That's one of the
Extremes.
two extremes that
Exactly.
people go for. Look at any of the clickbaity stuff.
Right.
Even there, you'll see this, like
Exactly.
either or very sexual. There's three
Of
for clickbaity
course.
stuff. There's probably a sexual
course.
element to it, but
With
it,
asterisks, yeah.
but there's the thing about, you gotta be super, happy or super sad,
Exactly.
or super emotional.
Right. So one thing I really want to put emphasis on is that sometimes I follow a lot of people. Of course, I follow a lot of people.
Yeah.
I feel like some successful people, and I'd really love if they could share things that are authentic.
Right.
Like I get that you can do a lot of stuff, and you're there and there, you're
Yeah,
traveling
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. You're doing your vacation in
Right.
Indonesia,
Yeah,
Bali,
wherever.
right?
Yeah.
Whatever. I'd really like to see like a person I look up to struggling with something.
Right.
Like okay, right now I'm on this project, I don't know what I'm going to do.
It's like
but
I
somehow
face
we don't,
the same thing, and
Yeah.
obviously I'm not like a celebrity or anything like that.
Yeah.
But when I choose what to post online
Right.
about
It's
my
the best
public
version,
life,
yeah.
it is the best. It is the most. I spoke to you personally about a panic attack I had a few weeks back,
Yeah.
but it does not make for a positive or an interesting story.
Right.
It comes out as seeking sympathy. Even me saying it right now, it comes out as seeking
Feels like
sympathy.
that, yeah.
But if I post, I had to go to the ER, and
Right.
look at me, here's a selfie of me, and
Right.
I'd only share it with people that I personally feel connected to,
Right.
or someone who,
Yeah, I say that because once you post anything that's good, like
Yeah.
you're doing this,
yeah,
that's it. You set your standard.
right,
That's it. Whenever you feel like you haven't met your standard, I think the person who puts it up, they start to fade away a little. That
absolutely.
damn, I should have maybe I didn't. I should keep doing these extreme things so that I get that engagement back.
Yeah, it's an interesting debate because you want to be able to do a lot of these things, but at the same time, if you show that you're struggling, you're failing,
I guess.
there's two aspects to it. I can't speak for everyone else, but generally, I think people would either feel like they would be undermined if they show their weaker side, or they just simply feel that it's just something negative.
Of course, you don't want to show like you're vulnerable.
Correct. I mean, when I see someone posting about them going to the hospital every few weeks, and telling it to the public, it feels like, oh man, like I understand.
Exactly. Yeah.
Unless someone's really critical, of course. Like then I want to know.
Of course.
But it is a weird kind of situation.
So I think just don't use social media.
Don't use social media. Sorry, Garyvee. Sorry, everyone else.
Sorry,
just turn off.
Exactly.
Just stop using social. Go back.
Sorry, guys.
Just back up. But I think that kind of gave me the panic attack as well.
What?
I mean, it would give you a panic attack if you think.
What do I have to post?
No. Like if social media, internet just ceases to exist, because pretty much I kind of owe my whole life's work and career to the internet.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure you feel the same, and a lot of people feel the same as well. And I think if you
I just choose to I think I live in denial. Yeah, exactly. I deny it. Exactly. And I love that.
But I think that also kind of brings us to the point where if anyone was listening, it's important to build skills that goes beyond the internet. Obviously you can focus stuff on the internet, but make sure you're always developing yourself.
Yeah. And I wanted to ask one thing. This is for me, and I guess if anybody's listening, basically, how do you disconnect yourself from the numbers?
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of, say, how many people have liked a post or something. So, being in marketing has been interesting, right? I never studied marketing, but I always was on social media, and all of my ventures and endeavors was on social media. So I thought, that's kind of like marketing. So I think maybe I could get into it. So when I did my master's, I had a few electives that were marketing, and then I got into marketing. And then marketing isn't just social media, right? It's advertising, it's branding, it's making sure you help the sales team. It's a lot of things. It's operations as well, but it's solely based on numbers, right? It's very analytical.
Huge.
Essentially, marketing basically, in a nutshell, means how many people you can bring into the business.
Absolutely.
And it could be from brand awareness. It could be simple thing as having a billboard that showcases your work, what you do, your product, your service, to X number of people, which essentially could be content, which could be what's the term?
Helpful to the business to
no,
understand.
I mean, what's the term? Like people who use the sponsored content.
Okay.
It could be as simple as a sponsored content, or it could also be like a post on Facebook or whatever, right?
Okay.
So their numbers don't really matter as much because you have a set budget. The billboard's going to cost you $5,000 or something. You post it up. X number of people should see it. But if they don't, then you think about the placement of the billboard, or the placement of your ad, or the placement of your post.
Yep.
The numbers game come into play when you have to actually make money, right? And essentially, unfortunately or fortunately, you have to think about the numbers no matter what.
Exactly.
And that's the shittiest part for creatives, right? So there's two aspects to it. I was speaking to Melina yesterday as well, and a few other creatives in this season 1, where they spoke about being able to make money, but that actually stops them from being able to create the way they want.
Right.
Because sometimes you have to create stuff in a way that makes money, but that's not what you want to create.
Right.
That's where the quantity/quality stuff also comes into play.
Right.
Garyvee is a big proponent of quantity and always kind of, then apparently that dictates the quality. I personally don't agree with that as much.
Right.
But at the same time, it's making, it just depends on your goal. So disconnecting from it completely is probably not the best idea. Because if you want to grow, you have to, and Ahmed Fahad from Patao, he also said something, and this is a common saying, that if you can't measure, you can't grow, because you can't build something you can't measure at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Because if you don't know where you are, where you're gonna go.
Right.
So it's a bit difficult sometimes to disconnect from it, but the way to do it is sometimes to create stuff for yourself.
Right.
Sometimes it could be, like this Netflix thing. I just wanted to create it because I wanted to have that creative muscle flexed, making sure that that part of my brain works.
Exactly.
I just want to challenge myself, and through that, usually most of the time, if it's good work, it'll find its way.
Right.
And you don't have to necessarily think about the numbers. The numbers become a side effect of the quality of work that you do.
Exactly.
So I don't think there's any set way that you can, if you want to grow especially,
Right.
I don't think you can ever disconnect from numbers, unfortunately, for creatives.
Get used to it, I guess.
You have to get used to it. You have to make peace with it. But if it's a work that demands too much numbers, maybe that's not the field for you. Because, I was working with the company where my entirety of my working role was based around the numbers I bring on the table.
Right.
So if I don't meet that number, which basically means certain stores would have to be closed off, some branches would have to be closed off, which
That's
means
huge responsibility.
correct, which means the people working there would lose their livelihood, and it's on me. And it's a big pressure, and that's what people do all the time. And don't get me wrong; it's maybe I'm not qualified enough or skilled enough yet to be able to take that. And that's when I realized I'm probably not there yet, or this is something I don't want to do. It's entirely number based.
Exactly.
So it's also having that self-awareness to know.
Self-awareness, big stuff. Yeah.
Right. Garyvee again. I want to ask you about your parents, right?
Okay.
Did you have supportive parents?
I have supportive parents,
right?
But the support comes and goes. Yeah.
Do they understand what you do?
In
terms of, like, say, obviously they understand you're studying and everything,
absolutely.
But the social media, or sometimes even for creatives, it's hard to explain what you do. So.
They understand that I create content. They understand what kind of content I create, but sometimes they just don't get why people would want to watch it.
Why would anyone want to watch my son's stuff?
Exactly. It's weird, and that's how I guess they kind of
people
think
watch
about
this shit.
Exactly. Because I think they're exposed to way different content,
right?
And I guess they can't relate to it or something. I don't know.
But are they like, oh, this is waste of time, or are they like, oh, okay, I don't understand it, but this is the new generation.
Exactly. I think, like I said, it comes and goes. If it's like, like when I go to like radio interviews and stuff like that, that's when they're, oh wow, my son went to there, and then when I'm not going into interviews in Stockholm, then it's like just study well and stuff like that. And it comes and goes.
Right.
But I need to work on it. I have to make it a permanent support. Yeah.
It's interesting because I've asked the same question to all the other guests here. Right. And one thing that keeps coming up is making sure that you build your credibility with your parents first.
Exactly.
Right?
It's a huge part.
Because they're not going to support, they're the ones who are paying for your food,
absolutely.
your clothing, your everything pretty much.
Yeah.
And essentially you're wasting their time and effort and money if you're not showing something in return. So if you're an artist and a creative, you have to battle it every day.
I've had the talk with them a lot of times.
Which talk?
The talk of the talk is about the not the TikTok, but I had the talk about like, this is what I want to do.
Right.
I think it will be very safe if you don't expect a master's degree for me, because I don't expect it from myself. Right. So I'm trying to say that because I don't want to disappoint them, and I don't want to be in a false place where I do it for their sake and then I start hating them.
Right.
And that's something I've seen, like within our generation. What happens is they get pressured into something
And then they hate it.
and then they come into university and then they start hating on their parents. Of
Right.
course, they won't do it in front of you.
Of course.
They do it to their friends, and
Right.
that's when I have to hear and other friends have to hear.
Right.
And that's when it's sad that you feel like, damn, that parent worked so much just to
Exactly.
get that. So that's why I try to have the talk with them.
I think that's
Yeah.
very, very important for anyone out there who's venturing into this journey to be able to have this clean, open conversation.
Yeah.
And if you can't, I think it's important to be able to show what
Yeah.
your work can do before you even begin to explain what it is.
Absolutely.
You have to kind of put your head down,
Exactly.
think, work,
Yeah.
and hopefully get some, some sort of credibility either through money
Yeah.
or through press
Yep.
or some sort of recognition
Exactly.
that that they value,
which makes totally sense.
correct. Like
Yeah,
like
that
13,000
makes sense.
upvotes on Reddit means jack
Nothing
shit to my
them.
parents.
Exactly.
Um,
Which kind of makes sense when it comes to the real world. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And it does. It's
Yeah.
nothing, to be
Exactly,
honest.
Exactly.
But if I won some sort of award or if I was selected for something,
that's it.
and if they see me on the TV or something like
Right.
that, then they'll be like, oh, okay,
Oh.
you know what? My kid's doing something
Exactly.
that's worth doing.
Right.
And it's not just a complete pile of shit.
How do you think this generation of parents will be, though? Like, I fear, like, this
We're going to
generation.
repeat the same mistakes?
No. I feel like this generation of parents will be too understanding. At some
No discipline. Everyone's doing whatever the fuck they want.
Exactly. Like, I feel like they'll become like too I don't know, like supportive.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which
Yeah.
means there is no
Guideline,
barrier or
right,
like
or structure.
Exactly. And yeah.
I think it's, I'm not a parent myself, but I think this generation, a few of my friends are
Yeah.
at this stage, and I speak to them sometimes about how they discipline their kids and things like that. I think some values still stick.
Right.
If your parents were strict,
Right.
chances are some of that strictness, if you have a good relationship with your parent
Right.
still while
Right.
you're having a kid,
Right.
because it can work the other way around.
Right.
Sometimes if they're too strict
Yeah.
and you don't have a good relationship with your parents,
Mhm.
you will probably not be strict with your kid.
Exactly.
But if you still have a good relationship with your parents and they were conservative, chances are you will also pick up some of that trait
right.
and enforce it on your child. So I don't think it's gonna be too
Much of a problem.
too much of a problem.
You're
But then
right.
again, you kind of have to wait and see. But my understanding is, I'm thinking ahead.
So if you had a child right now, and if that child wanted to create some TikTok videos to
Go for it, son.
go for it,
Daughter,
great.
whoever you are, no judgment.
Great. No, that's a supportive.
No,
parent,
it's like it depends.
Yeah. Oh.
It depends,
Yeah,
right? It
yeah.
depends on.
Alright.
That's fine. Let's continue.
Okay. Over the.
No, it just depends on the content that there would be created. It just depends on the content that there be created.
This is the kind of content I want to create.
I know.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, we kind of do this in a garage and.
Hustle.
Just we had this space and we built it into the thing, but we haven't soundproofed it.
Yeah.
Even though you can do some ASMR, I think this thing's gone. Yeah, I think it depends on the stuff that they're gonna create. It doesn't matter how, like, if they're exposing themselves in a manner that's not considered
Exactly.
polite
Mhm.
in the way we would perceive things in our family at least.
Right.
Obviously, they'll be in trouble, but
Yeah.
if at the end of the day, it's like you have to let the creativity flow through your
Exactly.
kids, and
It is what it is. Yeah. But
Yeah.
You have to let them create.
correct.
Yeah,
And sometimes if you restrict it too much or if you give it too much freedom,
Right.
it goes. I think it's all about balance at the end of the day,
Absolutely.
as it is with everything.
The balance. Yeah.
I think wrapping up, this was fun, but it
Yeah,
would
it
have
was
been
super fun.
I wanted to do. You could do this pretty much the whole night.
Exactly.
It's awesome.
Right.
But going forward, where do you think the future of content on social media is going to go?
I'm very optimistic about it, honestly. I think I see Bangladeshis creating stuff on Netflix.
Yeah.
I just see it.
The Iti Tomari Dhaka is going to be on Netflix next week.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
There
So
you go.
we're already there.
We're already
So
there.
there
We
go.
already have a few. We
Like
already had a
Netflix
few-
originals? Or are we just launching?
I think we're just launching.
Yeah.
Yeah, not originals.
Yeah, I mean like Netflix originals. Like
yeah.
I think.
Le Casa de.
Yeah, I mean like where like people like Netflix will come in and where like it'll come to Plantic and say make a documentary for us on Bangladesh football.
Right.
I'm seeing things like this because the new generation of creators, oh my god, they're so inspiring, and I'm like trying to keep up. Yeah. Honestly, I'm trying to keep up. Yeah. If you don't keep up, there is no use. I have to be with the wave. Right. I just have to,
Okay, and what do you see yourself in 5 years?
My dream is probably to create a Togbog into something very real. Right now it's very virtual. I want to create it into something real and into, if it's possible, into a very good business that makes good money. Because of course, everybody has to earn money from it. I just can't put it out there and nobody's earning money. Then
so basically, a sustainable business that still keeps on providing the value.
Absolutely right, and gotta make that cash money, right? $1.
And I guess finally, for someone listening who wants to do what you do, which is like creating, I won't say viral videos, but social media content essentially. What advice would you give to them? Maybe 3 actionable steps that they can take as soon as they stop listening to this podcast.
Right.
So actionable is the key word.
Actionable, absolutely. I think first I would suggest what I did was I watched a lot of content that I like. I think that what gives that to me is that I understand what I want to make. Because if I get that feeling, then I want to give that feeling to somebody else. So first, understanding what do you want to make. That's, I think, a very helpful thing by watching other people's content. Now, you have to watch other people's content. I'm not saying copying. I'm trying to say get that inspiration from it. I think I remember when everybody knows Christopher Nolan. He made the Batman trilogy. I remember him saying why he made the Batman trilogy. He said he made the Batman trilogy because he saw a painting that reminded him about the Batman story. And that led him to writing a whole 3-movie script, and then he launched it as a movie. That's what I'm talking about. So understanding what you want to create. I think second is create. Create what you want to do. Create it with friends. Create it with you, or create with people, with like-minded people. Because once you find a like-minded person, damn, it just clicks. That's the best part. Then you can just go off and create something together. And it's such a fun process of creating. Loving that process. It's superb. And third, I would suggest is once it's out there, see how people react to it. I think that's the most important part, how people react to it. If you do not understand how people react to it, then it's very difficult to sustain yourself in this business. I think go very deep, not only in your content, but other people's as content. Well. Like observe every comment in videos that you like to watch. Look at their comments. What are they saying? Like sometimes I've seen that people revolt against, like Casey. There's been so many times that people revolted against Casey, which helps him to understand, okay, this is what I should
take a step back,
and that's what helps me to understand this is where you draw the line as a creator. So that's
some people just say do whatever the fuck you want, but it's just not the right advice.
It's not the right advice in my opinion. So if you want to, you can. But
sure.
Exactly. But this is my
fantastic. Tanzim, it was a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Tausif bhai.
Not a problem.
Had a great time.
Likewise. Hopefully season 2.
Exactly.
Thanks,
hopefully.
Man.
Okay.